The NFL just dropped the 2026 schedule, and everyone is panicking over the absolute gauntlet of opponents standing in our way. But what if I told you the league actually just handed this franchise the biggest hidden competitive advantage we have seen in over 2 decades? We are staring down the barrel of a brutal season, yet the schedule makers secretly rigged the deck entirely in our favor. If you want the absolute best, unfiltered breakdowns all season long, make sure you smash that like button, share this video with your crew, and hit subscribe right now. Let's just get straight into the massive elephant in the room. You have all seen the strength of schedule rankings. I know the timeline is blowing up, and I know a lot of you are incredibly frustrated and stressed right now looking at this absolute murderer's row of opponents. We are officially facing the toughest schedule in the entire National Football League when you look at the 2025 opponent win percentages. Even the oddsmakers out in Vegas have labeled this as the 6th most difficult path in the league based on projected win totals. It is intimidating. There is absolutely no denying that when you look at the names on this list, it looks like an extreme uphill battle. But honestly, does a brutal list of opponents really matter if the actual structure of the calendar basically guarantees our guys are fresher, faster, and more prepared every single time they step onto the gridiron? Because while the mainstream media is completely obsessing over the strength of schedule, they are missing the most beautiful, game-changing gift we could have possibly asked for. I am talking about net rest advantage. For those who might not dive deep into scheduling analytics, net rest advantage is simply the mathematical calculation of how many extra days of rest and preparation our team gets compared to the team we are playing on any given Sunday. In an 18-week, bone-crushing NFL season, an extra 24 to 72 hours of recovery is the absolute holy grail of competitive edges. And guess what? We are sitting at a jaw-dropping plus 15 days of net rest advantage. Plus 15. That does not just lead the entire NFL for the 2026 season. That is actually the second highest net rest advantage any team has been handed since the year 2002. Let that sink in for a second. We have a monumental, historic advantage baked right into the schedule. Over the course of the season, our coaching staff is going to have an extra 15 days combined to scheme, evaluate film, and install brand new wrinkles that our opponents simply will not have the time to prepare for. When you have a smart, disciplined coaching staff, they take those extra days and they weaponize them. Furthermore, think about the physical toll of this sport. Football is a game of attrition. Getting consistent extra days off over an 18-week grind is going to drastically reduce wear and tear, keep our superstar players off the injury report, and ensure we are the more physical team in the fourth quarter of December games. If you do not believe me about how impactful this is, just look at the raw data from last year. 5 teams in the NFL had a net rest advantage of plus 7 or more. The top 3 teams on that list were Seattle, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. They all had to play each other in a brutally competitive division, yet all 3 of them won 12 or more games. Detroit was on that list and finished 9-8, but they lost both of their coordinators, benched their offensive coordinator, and had Kelvin Shepard calling plays for the very first time. They completely wasted the advantage with coaching chaos. Even Miami, a team that looked absolutely horrible on the field, managed to miraculously squeeze out 7 wins simply because they were constantly playing with a rest edge. Now, question of the day for everyone watching right now, and I want you to head down to the comments and let me know exactly where you stand on this. Does having an extra 2 to 3 days of rest actually offset having to play a playoff caliber team? Or are we putting way too much faith in the schedule makers? Let me know your thoughts down below. Let's look at exactly where these massive rest advantages show up for us, because the placement is picture perfect. Week 8, we have to travel to Seattle. It is going to be a loud, hostile environment. On paper, it looks like a game most analysts will pick us to lose. But we are walking into that stadium with 3 extra days of preparation and rest. That entirely changes the dynamic of that matchup. In Week 13 against the Jaguars, we get 2 extra days to get our bodies right because we play in Detroit on Thanksgiving the week prior. And then, when we host Detroit for the rematch later in the season, we get another 3 extra days of rest on them. Even better, out of the 4 games where we hold a net rest advantage of 2 days or more, 3 of them are being played right in our own stadium. We are getting extra sleep in our own beds, avoiding the airport, and letting the opponent deal with the travel fatigue. What about the flip side? We only have 2 games on the entire slate where we are at a rest disadvantage of at least 1 day. Week 4 against the Jets, We are at about a -1.5 day disadvantage because of a Monday night game, but it is early in the season, it is at home, and the bodies are not battered yet. I am perfectly fine with that. Week 9 against the Buccaneers is the other one. We will be flying back across the country from Seattle, putting us at roughly a -1.5 day disadvantage again. That is going to be tough, but it is a Sunday night primetime game at home, which brings incredible energy to offset the fatigue. And the blessings do not stop there. The NFL actually gave us another incredibly rare break. Less than half the league, only 14 teams, have 0 games on their schedule where their opponent is coming off a bye week. We are one of those lucky 14 teams. We do not have to face a single opponent this entire season who just had 2 weeks to sit on the couch and scheme specifically for us. To put that into perspective, look at the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Chargers. Both of those organizations have to play 4 separate games against teams coming fresh off a bye week. 4. That is an unbelievable disadvantage for them, and an incredible dodging of a bullet for us. You also get the Saints coming off a bye week, but because we are also coming off our bye week in Week 10, it is a completely neutral net zero situation. Then, you have to factor in the travel mileage. Obviously, teams stuck on the extreme coasts like the 49ers, Seahawks, Jets, and Giants are always going to rack up frequent flyer miles. But our travel schedule is ridiculously light. We do not have a single international game dragging us across the ocean. We have 9 true home games, including 9 of our last 16 games in our own building. All in all, we have the 3rd fewest air miles to travel in the entire league this year, sitting at just over 10,600 projected miles. Compare that to the teams at the top of the travel list who are flying 38,000 miles this season. Our road games are placed strategically, too. We open the season in Carolina for Week 1. Having a road trip right out of the gate is honestly ideal. You have not settled into your season-long, week-to-week routine yet, the guys are completely fresh from training camp, and you get a trip out of the way before the grind truly sets in. We also have to talk about the primetime spotlight, because we are going to be under the bright lights 7 different times this year. 7 games. We have 4 night games and 3 massive standalone games. Sometimes playing that much primetime football can completely ruin a locker room's weekly routine, but the league took care of us here, too. Out of those 7 primetime games, 4 of them are in our own building. Let's run through them. We have Philadelphia on Monday night in Week 3. We host the Patriots on Thursday Night Football in Week 7. We travel to Seattle for Week 8, but remember, we are coming off that Thursday game, giving us a massive rest edge. Week 9, we host the Bucs on Sunday night. Then we get the Thanksgiving showdown in Detroit. Honestly, that Thursday morning kickoff on a short week inside a dome against a great team is probably the hardest game on the entire schedule. After that, we travel to Buffalo for a Saturday night game in Week 15, but even that is cushioned because the Bills are playing on Sunday night the week prior, meaning neither team has a crazy edge. Finally, we host the Packers on Christmas Day in Week 16. When you look at that slate, we are in primetime a lot, which is just fun for the fans. But because 4 of the 7 are at home, and we have a definitive rest advantage in 2 of our 3 primetime road games, the disruption is absolutely minimized. So, can we honestly complain about the strength of schedule? Yes, we are facing an absurd number of 2025 playoff teams. It is going to take everything this roster has to string together 10, 11, or 12 wins. But if we had this exact same gauntlet of opponents while dealing with a negative rest advantage, I would be hitting the panic button. Just look at the Chargers. They are staring down an unbelievably tough scheduling draw with an absolutely massive net rest disadvantage this year. Instead, we are sitting pretty at plus 15. The schedule is remarkably balanced from Week 1 to Week 18, without any brutal stretches of consecutive nightmares. And clearly, the people putting money on the line agree with this assessment. Vegas oddsmakers have us favored in 12 of our 17 games this season. Think about that. The smartest sports minds in the world looked at this brutal schedule, looked at the incredible advantages we were handed with rest and travel, and determined we should be favored to win 12 times. Are some of those spreads incredibly tight? Of course. Being favored by 1.5 points at home basically means it would be a coin toss, or we might even be a 1-point underdog on a neutral field. But at the end of the day, Vegas is mathematically projecting us to be a 12-5 football team. I feel incredibly confident about where this team sits right now. So now it is your turn to make the ultimate call. Look at this schedule, look at the rest advantages, and drop your official 17-game record predictions in the comments right now. How many games are we walking away with? I am going to be dropping my personal game-by-game record prediction video very soon, which is exactly why you need to be subscribed with those notifications turned all the way up so you do not miss a second of the action. We will see you all next time. Get ready for an unbelievable season.